Photo posted by the owner reads, "There will be no touching hands, reaching out, touching me, touching you." Neil Diamond released a modified version back in March with the lyric, "Hands washing hands, reaching out, don't touch me, I won't touch you." Selena Gomez is giving her fans a first look at her new at-home cooking show on HBO Max. The actress and singer released the trailer of the show Selena and Chef yesterday. The 10-part series will be available on HBO Max next Thursday. For each episode, Gomez will partner with a master chef, and together in their respective homes, the cooks will remotely guide Gomez to create gourmet, homemade meals. Marvel has hired filmmaker Nia DaCosta to direct the sequel to Captain Marvel. DaCosta will head behind the camera for the second movie in the franchise. Captain Marvel 2 will bring back Brie Larson as Carol Danvers and is currently slated for a July 8, 2022 release. Tom Hanks is in talks to play Geppetto in Disney's live-action version of Pinocchio. The animated version of Pinocchio was released in 1940, produced by Walt Disney Studios and based on the children's book The Adventures of Pinocchio. That's entertainment. Nika Magahis, NBC News Radio.
ON Radio. Feel the ON Radio.
The state of Rhode Island is cracking down, more on social gatherings. The governor said yesterday a new unit of the Rhode Island State Police has been established just to handle this. If somebody wants to report a social gathering that's too big, they can call the following number, 401-764-5554, 764-5554. A fine for violating a social gathering limit can be up to $500.
You hear it all on ON Radio. Feel the spirit.
The more you protect yourself against COVID-19, the safer you are. And Thunder Mist Health Center is doing its share to keep you safe and informed. If you're feeling ill and need a COVID-19 test, Thunder Mist Health Center offers drive-through and walk-up tests by appointment. Call 401-767-4100 to schedule an appointment. There is no out-of-pocket cost. They also
Good morning, and welcome to Coffee Ann, the longest-running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question of the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsocketradio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
It's Coffee Ann, just like the man said, here on ON AM and FM, 1240 AM, 99.5 FM. And it's Thursday morning. I was going to say Monday, and I don't know why. It's Thursday morning. It is August 6th. And good morning to you. I'm Joe Callahan. Dave Richards is here. Good morning, Dave.
I am? Well, thank you very much, Joe. Good morning, everybody. Lovely day.
And joining us on the phone, we'll say hello to Bob Lauder. Hi there, Bob.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
I'm surprised Bob is still here after the fine lawyer joke I told this morning.
Yeah.
Two of them.
That was a cute one.
Two.
I told Bob another one. I'll save that for later.
That's right, yeah, because he told me only one on the air, Joe. Bob. Is that you, Bob?
They're worth repeating, but I'll just sit here in the corner and growl.
Oh, no, let's not repeat them.
Oh, no.
I think they're terribly rude, really.
Now, Bob, when you were going to law school,
yes,
you must have heard tons of lawyer jokes then.
He went to school with tons of lawyer jokes.
That's right. So there'd be that's right. So there must have been a lot of lawyer jokes, right?
Man, I'm not going to even go there. You know, I have certain standards to maintain.
You ask any priest, and they'll say, "Oh yeah, when they were in the seminary, plenty of priest jokes going around amongst the priests." So you just make fun of yourselves. So
yeah,
it's good stuff.
Well, other people can. I mean, I'm not sure how many of us make fun of ourselves, but
no,
there could be one or two renegades.
All right, I'll see if I can come up with some more funny lawyer jokes for you, Bob. All right?
Oh, goody! Yes, please do.
Not that they apply to you, of course.
Oh no, I realize that.
Because Bob's one of the he's got the one with integrity. That's him.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Bob's the one with integrity.
The check is in the mail. Yeah.
Thanks, Bob. All right, let's see. We do have a note to get to. Should we get to the note right away?
Sure.
That's been written in to coffee at OneSocketRadio.com. And it says, okay. Oh, it's kind of long. All right. Let's see. It says, yes, the immature and irresponsible ages approximately 18 to 26. We're talking about the coronavirus here and who's being irresponsible. So it's kind of the younger crowd.
Got to find somebody to blame. Okay.
Yes, we're going with the younger crowd, 18 to 26.
May I just point out it has nothing to do with age. It has to do with your maturity.
True. You could be,
That is a good way of putting it.
You could be 55 and enacting this.
Yeah.
Young
Assigning ages to maturity is just a lazy person's way of getting the job done. Seriously.
All right. So 18 to 26, and their negligent approach to this existing pandemic. They don't care. They're not wearing masks. They don't care about the social distancing. They don't care to observe any of the correct conditions because they don't think about it, and they're saying, "Hey, it can't happen to us."
Oh, that's so.
Why? Well, they don't care. I'm noticing a theme in the email here. Thousands of people that are dying from this doesn't even cross their minds because they don't care. They are selfish. And because they continue to ignore conditions, just wear a mask, keep 6 feet away. Can they do that? No, because, well, you get the picture.
Gee, Joe, that's sounding a little bit more like a rant than anything else.
Well,
thank you for sending it in. If we serve the purpose of getting things off your chest, then we're very pleased about that. But the point I was making before is that everybody always does this. I mean, and it's totally wrong. I mean, you go back, lawyer jokes, right? They're just jokes, and you happen to say it about a lawyer, and of course it won't apply to most. But it will apply because I know some older people who think the whole thing is all made up and they're not going to play ball, and that's the end of that.
Okay. And
you can see them as you drive by. They're out in front of high rises, no masks on or anything else like that, not even 6 feet away from other people. And so to point the finger at just 18 to 26-year-olds is doing humanity a disservice, in my view.
Well, they're just looking at the majority, I think.
It's an attitude that we're talking about here, which is wrong.
Well, look at that big, huge party that took place over the weekend in Los Angeles.
Yes.
That was the 18 to 26 crowd.
Well, look at what's happening this weekend in Sturgis, South Dakota.
Is it Bike Week?
They're having it.
Wow.
Yes, they are.
Having what in Sturgis, South Dakota?
It's Bike Week. It's a big motorcycle rally.
It's usually a big motorcycle rally where it takes over the town. Oh, no. According to the organizers, 750,000.
Oh, okay.
Would normally come to Sturgis for that week.
Well, I'm sure it's going to be less.
And many of them ride into town on motorcycles. And, of course, there's swap meets and motorcycle thises and that's and all kinds of... And they have a huge concert.
Well,
all of the big-name acts like Willie Nelson and the rest of them that were originally booked, all canceled.
Yeah.
But they got a bunch of second-tier acts out there.
Okay.
Seriously. And, I don't have it in front of me, what that press release was. I wish I could call it up quick and just name them off. But some pretty fair acts. I mean, the Guess Who.
People you've heard of. Okay.
The Guess Who isn't the Guess Who you were thinking of, but it's the Guess Who now. Just doesn't have Randy Bachman and the rest of that, but they'll play the songs. So, it's kind of like the tribute bands and the rest of that sort of thing. But who else? Oh, yes, and Great White.
Heavy metal band.
Great
Famous
White.
for unfortunate accidents.
Famous for changing the fire codes and putting a lot of people out of business in Rhode Island. As a matter of fact,
also killing a lot of people.
The band Great White was famous for moving WON radio from 1 Social Street to 985 Park Avenue.
I bet they don't know that.
It was perhaps an unintended, we'll give them that, an unintended consequence of their irresponsibility in shooting off pyrotechnics in a enclosed area, which caused the big fire.
That?
Well, it's because it changed the fire code laws precipitously.
Right.
Yes.
And a lot of buildings, Social Street, a major reason why 1 Social Street was taken over by the bank was because of the enormous cost of retrofitting it for the new fire codes for sprinklers that were just thrust into the law as a knee-jerk reaction to the fire. Now, obviously, something had to be done, but unfortunately, human beings many times tend to react, and if they have votes and legislatures and they overreact, everybody hurts.
But do you think that installation of the fire code now has in any way hurt people other than economically 12 or 15 years ago? Don't you think that the imposition of the new laws has provided added security to people?
I think he's baiting me into a discussion here, Joe.
Well, it was a yes or no answer.
Yes. No, it isn't a yes or no answer. It's an of course answer. But how you do things is usually far more important than what is done. Evolution versus revolution. Revolution hurts, causes damage and destruction. Evolution can be adjusted to over time. They change the laws too much, too fast.
Well, if you talk in that element, revolution is what started this country. Are you suggesting that we should not have had the revolution and rather should have just slowly evolved into some type of colony of the Great Britain?
Yes.
It's another yes or no answer. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Canada did it fine.
That's because we did it first.
Well, we only
Canada
wish
did it.
that we were Canada.
Canada, petition, ended up becoming a dominion, and then the rest of that sort of stuff like that. Sure, they did it much slower, but right now, Canada is a sovereign nation. And, and so is Australia, who also didn't have to have a bloody revolution to do it.
Our relationship with Canada is sort of like a Chihuahua looking at a Great Dane. We wish we were Canada.
It's only turnabout is fair play because they spent a couple centuries wishing they were us.
I'm not sure they ever did, but okay.
Oh, gosh, yes. Oh, yes.
Well, we invaded them in the War of 1812.
Our Canadian relatives would tell you that.
We invaded them in the American Revolutionary War. I don't know if they ever really wanted to be us. They never came over the border.
Well, it's a philosophical idea, and it's a matter of personal choice, Bob. I don't say that revolution is always a bad idea. I say that I would always, in my own heart, choose another path if there was another path offered to me. And so I would have been a Tory back in the 1770s, and I would have had a rough time of it.
Now, this bike rally, by the way, Bob, in Sturgis, doesn't really draw the very young crowd. It draws more of the 40 and over crowd of 750,000.
Well, they're expecting only 250,000 this year, being realistic.
Yeah.
Because, there's no tickets sold, so they really don't know who's coming.
No, and they're
making educated guesses based on history.
They show up, they pitch tents wherever they can.
Right.
This town is very small in Sturgis, South Dakota.
If you came in a car or a van, you could sleep in it.
Yeah.
You can't sleep on a motorcycle.
And so, they did. Normally, they had big concerts, but there's tons of not tons, but there's a lot of bars there, and the bars will set up and have acts inside the bar. So we'll see how they do. And
there's also
handle the social distancing.
Great disagreement within the citizens of the year-round citizens of Sturgis.
Well,
but the mayor
economically, it's awesome for the town.
The mayor has come out and said this is. By the way, I've been trying to find out. But and I have so far failed to find out. But last time I checked, guess who was the police chief in Sturgis, South Dakota?
I don't know.
The former high sheriff of Providence County.
Oh, is that right?
Rainey Lafayette.
Wow.
I wasn't aware of that. So yeah, they really have to gear up.
Yeah.
When the bike rally comes. So
your average citizen is hoping is wishing that they wouldn't.
Yeah.
And wishing that people would stay away if they do. But the mayor is saying
the money that flows into that town during that week is incredible.
No, that's not what he said, but
he didn't.
He meant it.
Okay.
What he said was that this is not a binary thing. Mm-hmm. Safety and life. Sometimes there's a compromise to be had here.
Mm-hmm.
So we said, okay, so let's opt for the compromise. So the mayor is behind it.
The rally. the
Right.
thing taking all week. Okay. It's pretty
You
cool.
talk about the bikers, though, being 40s and older.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just my imagination, or when I drive along the highway and see motorcycle operators, they usually appear to be older and older? Is the younger generation not becoming involved in motorcycles?
Well,
I remember when I was
No,
a kid,
they get
a lot
the
of-
rice. Now, the younger generation gets the rice burners, lean down into the handlebars, and go 70 miles an hour past you on the freeway.
Ah, that's why I can't see them. Okay.
Harley Davidson has been complaining for years how sales have been going down and down, though.
Yes, because their owners keep dying, and people buy used ones.
Yeah, and now my son, who's right in this age group, in the 18 to 26, he's 26, went out a couple of years ago and got himself his motorcycle license.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to have it. He thought he was going to purchase one,
Yeah.
and hasn't yet.
Time's not right.
Always thought it was kind of a waste of time and money, but that's what he wanted to spend his money on. All right, go ahead.
Yeah.
He may still buy one, but
Yeah.
living in Maine, it's not really. You can ride it 2 months out of the year, basically.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yes.
Go ahead, Bob.
I think that the interests of the younger generation is changing from what we perceived interests of our generation to be at a similar age. When I was a kid, it was sort of a mark of a rite of passage. You knew how to operate an engine in the car. You knew you could open the hood and you knew what was going on, and you sort of figured that a lot of kids are involved in mechanics. I don't believe that kids are nowadays. I know that there's very many kids who are involved in that kind of interest.
Even here in Woonsocket, they try to promote a lot of the rental properties as within walking distance to the train station, and a lot of towns try to market that so they get the younger crowd, the 20 to 30-year-olds that are looking to rent, that are going to go work in Boston, let's say, live here like Sharon or Mansfield or Attleboro, Massachusetts, and walk to the train station, take the T in, and they don't need a car anymore. So you're right, you don't see as much of it anymore. And I don't know why, but it's
each
just
generation changes. With its interests and what is in the environment around it. Yeah.
But with the pandemic, Bob, you know what has gotten a real big boost?
Television watching, I imagine.
Well, no, I mean for outside activities, not motorcycle riding, but bicycle riding.
One just went by.
One just went by on Park Avenue. That's what reminded me of it. I told you last week that I had to have my I had a bicycle situation. I had to get a new wheel and like that. And I asked him, "How's business?" He goes, "It's incredible." People, not only people getting their bikes fixed, but what people are doing, they're going to stores that haven't put the bike together. They just give you a box, and they bring and I was there when I saw this happen. A guy got a box out of his truck. The bike is in the box, and he's giving it to this guy. Here, put it together for me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that going on, too. So, yeah, he said business is just off the charts for bicycles because of what's going on. Just one of the things. Kayaks are big too, for whatever reason. Because of Corona, people they're not going anywhere, and they go, well, what can we do around here? Hey, paddling around some water seems like a good time. And when it's nice out, we can go bike riding.
Well, I hope the people who have bikes and ride them take some degree of precautions. I saw a bike recently where it had not only the front headlights but the rear tail lights on it. And I thought, this is really great. I can see this in the dark. It's not a danger to the driver. But so many people I've seen with bicycles in the dusk and evening have no illumination on them and just sort of blend into the background when you're driving along. It is scary.
I have seen some bikes that have the flashing yellow lights on it, coming and going.
Right. Those are the ones who use it for serious transportation.
Yeah.
Mine just has the headlight and the red tail light on it, and it's run by a generator. You know how that is, that the little generator that you just flick it and it rubs against the tire and it generates the electricity.
I know I have some reflectors on mine. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, we got reflectors, too.
I don't know how good they are, but they're there. So, but I don't go driving at night. So, I limit my bike riding to bright, sunny days. And I try to I try to get to a bike path as quickly as possible and get away from trucks and cars and things like that. All right, we're going to take a break on the Coffee and program. And if you have any comments or questions, give us a call, 766-1240. Or email it in to coffee@onesocketradio.com. More coming your way. Please stay tuned.
I'm here with Kara Benjamin of the Benjamin Insurance Agency. What types of insurance do you provide?
If you come see me, Kara, I will help you review and protect the most important assets in your life. We offer protection for personal lines and business lines of insurance in Rhode Island and Massachusetts. My mother, Celeste, will help you plan for retirement and assist you with protecting your family by providing life insurance.
You're in good hands with Allstate and Kara and Celeste Benjamin of the Benjamin Insurance Agency, 125 Eddie Dowling Highway, across from Dowling Village in North Smithfield, 765-5000.
Our business is truly a referral business, and we have built it based on our premier service level and commitment to what we do. If you are looking for personalized service with people who care, that would be us.
Sourdough pizza tasting class is coming to the Honey Shop. They will start class with a sourdough pizza tasting, and then you'll make your own sourdough. Everyone will get dough to proof and bake at home. The Honey Shop's secret recipe will be shared, and each person will get their own jar of sourdough starter. The starter will make fresh bread until eternity if given good care. Care instructions provided in class. This is a sugar-free, no preservative, easily digestible, and all-natural bread. This sourdough pizza tasting class is at the Honey Shop, 1300 Park Avenue, Woonsocket, on Sunday, September 13th at 11 a.m. Go to the Honey Shop's Facebook page for ticket information. If you love food, you'll love the Honey Shop. The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee in Pawtucket. They're a 62-year-old family business that roasts all its coffee right here in Rhode Island. Founded originally as Excellent Coffee Company, they provide great coffee to food service establishments throughout New England.
ON, AM, and FM.
It is Coffee and I'm Joe Callahan here with Dave Richards and Bob Lauder on the phone with us. Still with us, Bob?
I'm still here.
All right. Well, because the...
how is Jean doing, by the way?
How is Jean doing?
I don't want to talk too much personal on the air, but you tell Jean that I'm thinking about her, won't you?
I will do so. Thank you. She's listening in.
Oh, cool. Hi, Jean.
Listening in.
Very nice. All right, because the Massachusetts governor has said if you're going back and forth to Rhode Island and Mass, you're supposed to quarantine yourself. Because of that, now, I should back up. The over in Plymouth, they have the replica of the Mayflower.
Yes.
Well, every couple of years, they have to send the Mayflower 2 to Connecticut,
right,
to work on it.
Right.
Well, it's all fixed
at the Mystic Shipyard.
Yeah, and now it's coming back. Well, it was supposed to stop in Newport. It's actually in New Bedford right now on its way to Plymouth, and it's been canceled going to Newport because of the travel restrictions that the Massachusetts governor put in. So it's not going to make it stop in Newport. It's just going to eventually just swing around.
Well, it could have
Provincetown
gone to Newport anyway, but they couldn't have stopped. They couldn't have weighed anchor. They couldn't have gone ashore.
No one could go on.
No one could go on.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have been treated like a quarantine ship.
That's right. So to avoid all of that, they're not coming. So if you want to see the Mayflower 2, you got to go to Plymouth and then come back and quarantine yourself. I don't know how you do it.
I'm really surprised that Rhode Island has dropped the way we have, because I thought Governor Raimondo was doing a really great job in trying to make sure that we did keep the COVID down. And
well, she is doing the best she can, but then it goes back to our first email, Bob. It's the 18 to 26-year-olds and the ones that think like they're 18 to 26 in the summertime, saying we're just going to get together and have a good time, and we don't care what the governor says. In fact, I saw the governor yesterday. As I was at a client's yesterday, and she was on, and she actually said, "Okay, yeah, you can get together with 15 or so of your friends, no more than 15, in a gathering." But she doesn't want you to go, "Okay, on Monday, I'm getting together with these 15 friends. On Tuesday, I'm getting together with another whole completely different set of 15 friends."
It's bad news. That's 30 friends.
That's right. And then on Wednesday, a whole new set of 10.
That's 45 friends.
That's right. She doesn't want you doing that.
Right.
Basically, pick 15 friends and stick with them.
That you associate with all the time.
All the time, yeah.
And I looked at it this way, Joe. It has to do with, do I know these people? Do I know them well? Do I know how they live?
Mm-hmm.
Are they serious-minded, or are they cavalier about it? Are they likely to bring to my group an infection?
Mm-hmm.
Bob?
I'm a lawyer. I don't have 15 friends. I don't have to worry about this.
You have much more than 15 clients, though.
We've had very few clients actually come into the office.
Right.
Most of the work is done over the telephone.
Yes, I
Although
understand.
yesterday the telephone system was out because of the the storm, so that was even
sorry.
more weird.
Well, the governor is going on to say, if you're coming into Rhode Island from one of 33 states, you must quarantine for the 14 days, or unless you have a negative coronavirus test on you. And if you get tested, and I don't know
by the way, they
answer to
expire
this.
in 3 days.
Well, that was my question. If
Yeah.
How
it
is
could be
only
no
3
good.
days?
It could be no good in 6 hours after you have your test.
It might.
You could take the test on Monday, catch it on Monday night. By the time you got your results on Wednesday,
it could have changed.
Right.
This just reminds me of the story of not anyone I knew, but they would keep a dead bee.
dead bee
in their car,
really,
or in a pocket. So, and then they speed, and then when they get pulled over by a police officer, he'd pull the bee out and say, "Oh, I was trying to swat the bee flew in the car, and I was trying to swat it, and I didn't notice how fast I was going." I don't know if this would stand up in court, Bob, and the key
is to not go to court because you've.
Well, the key would be that the police officer would let you go. Oh, well, that's a good excuse.
That's right.
You're trying not to get stung by the bee. Although, as the story goes, one smart police officer took a look at the bee, and the driver said, "Well, I just killed it." But one smart officer looked at the bee and said, "Then why is there dust on the bee?" All right, so that's the end of that. So I did have the question. You could carry around your negative COVID test and block out the date on it. Let's say you had it. Let's say you took it in April, and you just hang on to it. Oh, see, it's negative. See, and as I'm holding it, I'm covering the date. Oh, okay, you're negative. Keep it going.
Actually get the results in writing, because I know someone who had a COVID test taken a few weeks ago, and the results were telephoned back by the doctor's office. They didn't get anything in writing that said what the results were.
If you're going to travel, though, Bob, you must. I'm thinking you must have to ask for it. Let's say it's all on the up and up, and you're flying out tomorrow. So you go get your COVID test today. I don't know how you're going to get the results back quickly enough, but let's say you can. You must say, okay, email me these results that says I'm negative, and then you can print it out and bring it to the airport with you, and show TSA or wherever else you have to show it to, and say, see, I just had it yesterday and I'm fine. So they'll telephone you, but if you really need it, you'd have to ask them, okay, please send it to me because I need it for travel purposes.
Did the governors of either Massachusetts or Connecticut give any indication as to what Rhode Island had to achieve before we'd no longer be on their exile list?
I didn't hear that from the governor of Massachusetts. It's just you're on the list. I think they'll check it every week, and then it's got to do with cases per 100,000, and you got to get under 5%.
Right.
That's usually the watermark that you got to hit. And once you get under that, okay, then we can take you off the list. Although the governor of Maine isn't going by those rules either, but it's every governor for himself, and the rules that they make, and who can come into their state and not into their state. A little later on, I'm going to make a running leap and see if I can jump from Rhode Island to New Hampshire, because we can go to New Hampshire.
Well, you can certainly jump from Massachusetts over to Connecticut. I mean,
yes, you can.
Rhode Island is smaller than New Hampshire, so a good head start. You can do that.
Dave, you grew up in Burrillville. Did you ever go to that part of Rhode Island where you could be in Rhode Island, Mass, and Connecticut, in that triangle, and say, "Hey, I'm in 3 states," just walking in a circle?
No.
Okay.
They walk in circles enough out in
quite
Burrillville.
frankly,
He doesn't have to do it
I
that
don't
way.
know where that is. I know the Rhode Island-Connecticut border cuts through Peck's Pond at Pulaski State Park, so if you walk over the bridge that's at the waterfall, you actually walk into Connecticut. And when you're 8 years old, that's a big deal, so we used to do it, I had a grand aunt who had a chicken farm right on the Connecticut and Rhode Island border. It says it was a full farm, but most of the time she just raised chicken and geese and stuff like that. On Buck Hill Road, as it passes into Connecticut. So that, but where Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island, where is that?
Well, I'm looking at I'm thinking geography, just looking at how the states are lined out. And maybe it's in the middle of water. I don't know. But if you look in the very northwest corner of Rhode Island, it would border Massachusetts and Connecticut at the same time.
Yeah, most places I know either border Massachusetts or border Connecticut. Mm-hmm. You're right. I grew up in that town. There might be a place where you could be at all three.
I'm just thinking of there's those 4 states out in western United States. What is it? Arizona, New Mexico,
I know, but
Utah, Wyoming. You can be in the 4 states all in 4 people can all be standing in 4 different states at the same time.
I think it's Utah, Colorado.
Could be Colorado. Okay.
Yeah, it's 4 corners. Yeah, but it's interesting that you bring all that up, Joe, because you got me thinking now.
Can it be done?
I'm gonna see what we can.
Be done? Oh, he can think well.
I'm gonna see what we can do here.
All right, Dave's gonna look that up for
because I don't know
purposes.
exactly what that would be, and I'm saying to myself, how come I never heard of that place?
Well, I haven't, and I just go, I'm just thinking geography-wise. The 3 states meet in that little corner over there in Burrillville. But maybe it's underwater, like I said. Maybe there's a big pond there, and you can't do it. You can get in a rowboat, I guess, and go out there. All right. Bob, did you make it through the tropical storm okay?
Yes.
Yeah,
Except with what everyone else had, the power outages and things like that. But other than that, it was not bad at all.
So no tree damage or anything like that?
Nope.
Did your business make it through okay?
You lost telephone, right?
Without the telephone service, it was really quiet.
Okay.
You get a lot of stuff done.
All right. I'm glad this made it okay. Bob, from a lawyer point of view, let's see a real quick question here.
There is no place... Wait a minute. That's not true. See, Connecticut's border with Massachusetts is further north than Rhode Island's.
Oh, it doesn't work out perfectly?
Yeah, because there was a rearrangement late 1800s or early 1800s where they resurveyed it, and part of Rhode Island ended up in Massachusetts on the northern border. Mm-hmm. So the 3 states don't come together perfectly the way you might think they do.
Okay.
But there is a place.
Yeah.
But there is a place where they do come together. Mm-hmm. Looking into it right now. It's just west of Wallam Lake.
All right, while Dave looks into that, I'm going to ask you this question after we take the break, Bob. I just took a look at the clock. So it's time for the weather forecast right now, which is being brought to you by Staples Stores. Today, mostly sunny. High temperature will be near 86 and a lot less humid than it's been. Tonight, mostly cloudy, low around 65. Friday, it'll be cloudy. There is a chance of some thunderstorms Friday afternoon. High will be near 78. Friday night, mostly cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms, low of 65. Saturday, a mostly cloudy day, high near 80. Sunday, partly sunny and warmer, high near 90. Currently outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio on the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street, where the sun is shining, and we have 77 degrees.
I've got it now, Joe. We'll have a full report in a few moments.
Excellent. School goes on. Staples has everything to start the year right, no matter where school happens, and all at amazing prices. School on, save on at Staples. More Coffee Hands coming up. Stay tuned. The more you protect yourself against COVID-19, the safer you are. And Thunder Mist Health Center is doing its share to keep you safe and informed. If you're feeling ill and need a COVID-19 test, Thunder Mist Health Center offers drive-through and walk-up tests by appointment. Call 401-767-4100 to schedule an appointment. There is no out-of-pocket cost. They also offer tests to people without symptoms who work in close contact with others or to those who have attended a large gathering. Thunder Mist Health Center, 450 Clinton Street, Woonsocket, 401-767-4100. The best New England-style barbecue can be found at Good Stuff Smokehouse in Blackstone. In fact, they've voted #1 Boston's best barbecue. On the menu is slow-smoked and delicious brisket and sirloin burgers. Plus, pulled pork and Boston ribs may tempt you. Or how about slow-smoked turkey? And barbecue chicken is available too. Good Stuff Smokehouse can cater your next event. Ask for details. Good Stuff Smokehouse now has indoor dining and takeout is always available. Good Stuff Smokehouse, 97 Main Street, Blackstone. At Good Stuff Smokehouse, we smoke the good stuff.
Hi, I'm Greg Bell, the host of When Radio Was.
Why, Mortimer! Bill. Is that you under that blindfold? Bill, with this thing on, I can't see who I am. No, I imagine not. Can't you see anything at all under that blindfold?
On a clear day, I can see the blindfold.
You can.
Yeah.
When Radio Was, shows from the past for today's imaginations.
When Radio Was airs Monday through Friday right here on ON 1240 Radio at 11 a.m. and 11 p.m.
All right, it's Coffee In here on ON, AM, and FM, and this is Joe Callahan, along with Dave Richards, who's pointing at things for me. Yes, Dave?
Shut off the number one phone because you're going to cause echo.
But that's Bob. That's Bob.
Oh, that's Bob.
Yes.
Oh, that's so different.
And,
sorry.
over here is Dan McKee. Hi, Dan McKee, Lieutenant Governor.
How you doing this morning?
We're doing all right. Bob Blotter's here. He's on the phone. Say hi, Bob.
Good morning, Your Honor. How are you?
And
Hi, Bob.
you heard Dave Richards, of course. And before we talk to the Lieutenant Governor, we got to get a first message from Bob Blotter. So, Bob, take it away.
Good morning. Thank you. In the past, I suggested it's prudent for any individual to consider the preparation and proper execution of a last will and testament to operate after the individual's death. One of the responses to this recommendation is frequently the question, do I need a lawyer to do this for me? Can I just get the forms off the Internet and do it myself and save a whole lot of money? Well, there are forms available on the Internet. Anyone is certainly free to create their own last will and testament. However, I respectfully suggest that while this may appear to be economically advantageous at the present time, there's always the possibility that the testator, that is the individual creating his or her last will and testament, has overlooked some important elements which may be the subject of dispute after the death of the testator. I can tell you from personal experience that one of the most interesting estates I ever handled, and interesting for lawyers doesn't necessarily mean the ones that earn us the most money, but rather the ones we have to do research on, have the opportunity to learn, involved an elderly woman who apparently sat at her kitchen table, wrote out what she thought was a valid last will and testament, and left her heirs with months of legal entanglements and litigation. As an attorney, I can certainly recommend one secure professional assistance in the preparation of such an important document. In the event you'd like to discuss this or other legal matters with me, please call my office for a telephone appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the disclaimer, Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
All right, Bob, thank you.
Unfinished business, Joe?
Unfinished business about this whole tri-state thing.
Paul Vanas is listening in, and he came in with this. I found it on the computer as well. It's amazing. I grew up all those years in Burrillville, and I never heard anybody mention the tri-state marker ever.
Wow. Okay.
And yet I grew up in that town.
And yet there's one there.
There is one. 1883. So, I mean, I had some of the basic ideas correct, and there was a place where they come together, but it's not where you think it is. It's north of Buck Hill Road, which is how I usually got into. We went back and saw family in Webster, and that's where we went to get our eggs, too, at the great-aunt's egg farm. It's just east of East Thompson, and there's no roads there. And Paul Vanas tells us it's only accessible by a trail. There is a picture of the marker. There is a stone marker there. To give you an idea, it's been there since 1883, according to what's inscribed upon it. Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts at the exact bounds and meets place where the three states join. Out in the woods. They say it's a tourist destination, but I never heard ever, not one whisper or breath of this in my entire years growing up. I'm 65 now, and I never heard it before today, anybody talk about the place.
Wow. So, Dan...
I haven't heard it, but if Paul says it's there, it's there. I know Paul, and he's a historian by trade, is a realtor by trade, but I guess he's an historian as well.
And he's a traveler.
Oh, yeah. Well, Paul's been there.
He's been
Paul
out there
has been
to
there.
take a look at it. So
he's an amazing guy.
There's a mark. Have you ever been out there, Lieutenant Governor, to this marker where Rhode Island and Connecticut and Mass all come together?
No, it'd probably be a good spot for all the lieutenant governors to meet, from Connecticut and Massachusetts and Rhode Island, and have a meeting. Of the mind.
Send out an email and say we'll meet at the marker, and they'll know exactly what you're talking about. I'm sure.
So I guess what you have to do is you have to go to East Thompson, then walk there.
You gotta go. You gotta leave Rhode Island, go into Connecticut, and walk back.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's how you gotta do it.
That's not going to be a good political move, though, if you have the lieutenant governors lost in the woods. That's got some bad connotations to it.
there are some people that we say that we are lost in the woods. So, you know.
Although that would be funny if we had to get the Rhode Island, Connecticut, and Massachusetts State Police out into the woods to go find you guys.
Yes, that's right.
Well, that's something we got to put on the bucket list, I suppose.
To go out and see that marker.
Yeah.
And say, hey, here it is.
Whatever.
Well,
you know,
Paul
it's
could be our
interesting.
guide. Paul could be our guide.
Yeah, we'll get Paul Vanas to take us out there. He knows where he's going.
Exactly. All right, listen. Dan is here. This is a preface here. This is what they call a setup in the broadcasting business. Dan McKee is here because he and I had a conversation this past weekend, and it was about something that started happening this past Monday, was announced last Friday, something that the governor has been looking at and working at, and he wants to make sure that small businesses know that there is a program where some of them might be able to find some help. It's not exactly what everybody was looking for, but it will help some people, and he wanted to get that word out on that. So Dan's here to talk about it.
Yeah, Dave, we had talked about the fact that there was federal dollars that were appropriated to every state in the country, and those federal dollars, the guidelines allowed those federal dollars to be used to help small businesses who were impacted by the pandemic. So we've been pushing very hard to make that happen. The governor came out with a plan a few weeks back, which was shy of the $125 million that we were asking for, and certainly a lot more complicated than what we were asking for. But there is a $50 million appropriation from those federal monies that if small businesses who feel as though they've been impacted negatively by the virus, they can go on to Commerce Rhode Island's site and they can make an application. Now, Dave, they couple caveats. They were going to do a first come first serve. First 1,500 we're going to get put in the pipeline. If they're not there yet, they're very close. So I would say
you're close to 1,500.
I would say they are because they were close to 1,000 at the end of the day on Tuesday, and here we are on Thursday morning.
Right.
And then they were going to deal with those 1,500 applications and then reopen it. But there's $50 million, and if you're a small business out there, I would be applying. You can call our office for more information if you need it, 222-2371, and we can help any small business that is looking to apply for those funds. There will be, hopefully, we're going to keep on working with this coalition, the RI Small Business Coalition, and if you're a small business that hasn't joined that yet, you can go to rismallbusiness.org and you can join the Small Business Coalition that I think is very important for all our small business to organize because, as we know, this virus is not going to be gone tomorrow. Our small businesses are going to continue to get impacted until there is a vaccine, and we need to do everything we can, including really strongly encouraging the governor to put another $75 million in, and then to actually open up to allow more businesses to qualify, because not every business qualifies, and you really don't know until you make the application.
You don't know if you qualify until after you fill out the application and then send it in?
Well, they have a pre-application.
Okay.
That takes a few minutes, and then if you feel as though you qualified, I mean, there's several pages of documents that rules that you have to read. My suggestion is just apply, because the more people who apply, the more it shows there's a demand. We all know, Dave and Joe, as working with a small business and owning a small business, that our small businesses are being really pushed to the actual extreme right now, more so than I've ever seen before, because they've been asked to close to keep us healthy. The environment right now is not at full speed economically because of the lot of the the behaviors we're asking people to do, and please follow wearing a mask, keep the social distancing, wash your hands, do the correct hygiene. If we're not going to do that, we're not going to be able to reopen schools, and we're not going to be able to, run our businesses. But yes, apply. There's a pre-application that's very quick, and then you'll get an email telling you whether you're qualified to build business based on the criteria that Commerce and the governor has put in. But I think that it's very important that we really show unity amongst all our small businesses right now, because there is more dollars there, Dave, that can be appropriated. And I was talking to nursing homes yesterday. I had them on one of our broadcasts, and they are getting crushed as well. So every small business out there is being pushed to the limit.
Okay. Dave?
Yeah, well, Dan, part of the conversation that we had is the qualifications for getting involved in that. So this is not for everybody, correct?
No, and that's what disturbs me, where I really felt as though that there was a way to appropriate significantly more dollars, get to many more businesses, and not have the criteria be as strict. So in there that it says, there's a certain types of businesses like restaurant, hospitality, that are prioritized as being the top priority, and then other businesses that don't fall into that, they need to show a 50% loss of revenue, a loss of business to qualify. So so the restrictions are there. My advice is on the pre-application is to ignore those restrictions and put your application in, because we know that there's businesses that are, I've talked to a business, and not yours, Dave, but I talked to a business this weekend that had to reinvent themselves to a certain degree, and they were, creating masks, plastic guards, and stuff like that. That wasn't even in their wheelhouse as a business. They were selling some of them, so they were showing some revenue, but their actual business was receiving virtually no revenue. So I think that you're right.
Right. Well, yeah, that was my comment to you. I'll just say this in front of the audience. That was my comment to you, that there was twofold. First of all, I'd seen this before, because in 1991, when they shut down the banks and credit unions and slowly opened things up after the RISDIC crisis, people who did not have their money here locally tied up in Marquette Credit Union, but who did business with dozens and dozens of businesses who had no way of getting any relief because they didn't actually have money tied up in Marquette Credit Union. And that was kind of unfair. And you looked at it and you said, well, listen, I'm being treated like a crook because I can't pay, but all my advertisers have money in there and they're not paying me. So it's all right. It's part of the life's unfairness. Mm-hmm. We move to 2020 now, and we have this kind of program over here, and it just looked to me like the rules were unfairly penalizing people who worked their butts off and managed to not lose 50% of their business.
Yeah, so I agree with you, Dave. This is why I think that our work is not done in our office. Yes, we've got the governor's attention that small businesses do matter, although, she made a comment that I took exception to about the work that our office is doing, calling it a sideshow, and calling the work that we're working to help these small businesses, calling it a sideshow. I mean, This is no sideshow. Our small businesses are not sideshows. They're their lifeline for those families and the people who work in those small businesses, and also the people who do business with them and rely on those for their information. Like a radio station, people rely on your radio station for information.
Right.
So we're not sideshows. And up till now, we felt as though that the governor and has kind of looked at our small businesses as being, not as relevant as we happen to believe they are. And so we're going to keep on pushing for minimum another $75 million. and have that distributed in a way that allows all our businesses to participate on levels that make sense, but at the same point in time, not restrict certain businesses. We have businesses that have lost 36% of their revenue and not going to qualify, and more.
Yeah,
So
and my other point is, by the way, if you lost 50% of your revenue, and we are now, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're in our 5th month of the crisis, and you lost 50% of your revenue for 5 months, you're already not in business, or you're on life support and won't recover.
Yeah, well, I
mean, you're not even around to fill out the application, basically, if you've lost 50% of your business for 5 months.
Well, my feeling on that is I don't want to pick the winners and losers right now. This virus didn't was forced upon us in a way that. So my feeling is, even if somebody's on life support, I want to give them a fighting chance, because it wasn't their fault. It wasn't mismanagement, just like the banking crisis wasn't back in the 90s. But I think that the other objection I have is that my plan was to distribute it to all 39 cities and towns in an equitable way, whether it was by population or number of businesses there, so that every community in the state would get benefit from these millions of dollars, because we know when these dollars get distributed that they roll right back into the economy, and they have a four-time multiplier. So 125 million going into the state is like around $500 million of a spike to the economy, because the dollars will circulate. And my belief is that every community matters and every community counts. And so there's no real way to guarantee right now that Woonsocket is going to get its share of even the $50 million.
Right.
So I think that we need to make sure that it gets distributed equitably around the state of Rhode Island, and there's nothing in the guidelines, in the governor's guidelines, that it would do that.
All right, or any of the towns, really. Dan, we asked you on here. I got to be sensitive to the amount of time you're spending with us. Do you have time to wait through a break and get a couple more questions? I think Bob wants to ask you one.
Sure, I'm good. I'm good till 9 o'clock.
Okay, very good. Thanks.
Bob, this section of the Coffee and Program is brought to you by your law office. So can you give us a message, and then when we come back from the break, we'll get to your question, okay?
Sure.
All right, go ahead, Bob.
Thank you. In the past, you've heard me discuss the concept of establishing a living trust and the benefits that could provide to you in estate planning. I'd like to mention this morning that more important than a living trust is the preparation of a valid last will and testament. Now, a living trust isn't made in a vacuum. Even if one creates a living trust, you should always buttress that document with a last will and testament. The reason is this. Even though an individual in estate planning may have followed their attorney's recommendations, placed all of their known assets into the treasury of the trust, there's always the possibility that sometime after the settler's death, there is another asset which may not be part of the trust. The easiest illustration I can think of is the individuals involved in an automobile accident. The TV lawyers get loads and loads of money for the estate. The money was not available for the decedent to put into the trust ahead of time, and it has to pass under the terms of either a last will and testament or the laws and intestacy of the state. Last will and testament, whose preventive provisions frequently mirror those of the trust, is going to be important in the easy administration of the assets which were not included in the trust. If you think my office may be of assistance to you in this or other legal matters, please call me for a telephone conference. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the disclaimer. The Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
All right, Bob. More Coffee and coming your way. Please stay tuned.
When in doubt, select Chan's and enjoy a wide variety of entrees, including great seafood like 5-spice shrimp, lo mein, and vegetarian specials. Chan's also features many combination entrees and house favorites like Oriental chicken and Mongolian steak. And don't forget their award-winning wonton soup. Chan's Four Seasons showroom can accommodate up to 125 persons for special occasions. Chan's at 267 Main Street, Woonsocket, 765-1900. Open 7 days a week, including lunch at 11:30 a.m. Chan's, just a few steps from the Stadium Theater.
We're still here, and you will still be satisfied. That's the message from Tasca Buick GMC Woonsocket and Tasca Chevrolet Woonsocket. They are open 6 days a week at 9 a.m., closed on Sundays. The Tasca family reminds you that you no longer need an appointment to come in and browse the selection of new and pre-owned vehicles. You can see the entire line of cars, trucks, and SUVs online at Tasca.com. Tasca Buick GMC Woonsocket and Tasca Chevrolet Woonsocket on Fortin Drive, right off Cumberland Hill Road.
Hi, this is Casey Kasem. We've been counting down the hits together since the days of cool shades, hot pants, and tie-dye shirts. I hope you can join me this weekend when I recount the hits from 40 to number 1, just the way I did back then. It's American Top 40 the 70s right here.
Join Casey counting them down this Saturday afternoon at 1 p.m. right here on ON AM and FM, sponsored by Paul Vanas and Associates Real Estate in Lincoln.
Coffee In on ON Radio. This is Joe Callahan with Dave Richards. Bob Lauder and Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee is on the phone. And Bob, you had a question for the Lieutenant Governor, so go right ahead.
Thank you. Yes, sir. It's a two-part question. First part is, if I've made an application for the grant, how long is it going to take before I find out whether or not my application has been approved? The second part is, if it's approved, how long am I going to have to wait until I get the money?
Yeah, so, Bob, the pre-application, you should have an answer or an email back from them within 48 hours. That's what the Commerce is saying. And then you have to put the application in where you have to put multiple types of piece of information, including some income data and other identification numbers, a Dunn Street identification number, and other things like that. And then those applications are going to you wouldn't hear from them for about it sounds like 30 days. And within 30 days, you would have the money, and the grants can range up to 15,000, but they could be as small as 2,500 based on the number of employees you have, and the amount of the impact that the virus has had on your business.
Now, you mentioned a Dun & Bradstreet identification number. How is a small business, say a restaurant, where it's a mom-and-pop organization and the family works in it, going to even know how to do that?
Yeah, so there's some tutorials on the Commerce site. The tutorials will say that if you don't have the number, you can apply, and within 48 hours, they believe you'll get a number. So those, and then also for the businesses that are, struggling for any information during this time frame, they certainly can call our office. We're providing assistance to businesses every day. Also, there are other groups that are providing assistance that have been identified, whether it's some of the chambers, some of the business associations, there, and then also your small business, different professional groups that are out there that are providing no charge service, like SCORE and others that will help out these businesses, Bob.
Okay. Now, is there going to be any restriction on how the business that receives a grant actually uses the funds?
Yeah, yes, you have to use it for the cost of the PPE. That's the personal protection equipment. The mask, the plastic that you might be using, the hand sanitizers. So that's a use. Rent is allowable. Utilities is allowable. Payroll is not allowable. So there are certain business-related expenses that are allowable, and there's certain expenses that are not. And we were talking to Dave about the plan I put forward. I just think that, look, these are not big numbers you're talking about. Somebody gets 5,000, 10,000 is a good number, but it only buys time, and they should be allowed to use it on any business expense that they're incurring, but without restriction. But there are some restrictions, Bob.
Now, is this going to be an absolute grant, or do I have to pay it back if I qualify?
This is a grant, so there's no payback. Very similar to the PPP loans the SBA has. That if you spent it properly, then those loans are going to be forgiven. Guidance, by the way, just came out on the PPP loans that are looks as though that they're going to be activating the process in a few weeks for those people who do have PPP loans. The other thing I would say, Bob, too, and Joe and Dave, is that there's still over $100 billion available right now on PPP loans. So businesses that did not participate in the first round, there's been an extension to August 8th right now to apply for that other, the remaining $100 billion plus. And, stay tuned. I think that it's going to get extended, and there's going to be another round. But businesses who didn't do those payroll protection plans, that money is still available.
Now, on the grant that you were talking about, Lieutenant Governor, is that going to be taxable income to the businesses that are receiving the grants?
So the grants are not taxable. But as you're bringing up the taxable stuff, the unemployment, the $600 a week for those who are listening, that is taxable. Where the $1,200 per person they receive, as a stipend, that's not taxable. So, but you should be checking with your accountant on any of these dollars. But my understanding of these grants are not taxable.
Question for you, Lieutenant Governor, before we have to wrap things up pretty quickly. You talked about, some businesses had to close because of the pandemic. The governor just came out yesterday and said, okay, bars and bar areas have to close starting on Friday by 11 p.m. Is that something you agree with?
Well, right now, I agree that because we, and it's pretty clear, Joe, is that Rhode Island now is on a restricted traveling basis. Mm-hmm. On the on the states that border us, because we're getting a spike in infection rates. So we gotta take this seriously, and our businesses need to take it seriously, and the customers that are going to these businesses need to take it seriously. They need to make sure they're following the rules. It is a serious matter, and I've said this over and over again, Joe. This is not a Rhode Island issue. Mm-hmm. I'm on international calls regularly, whether it's New Zealand, Australia, or Japan, or Taiwan, or England, or Germany. They're all in these shutdown modes, and we need to make sure that we get this virus under control to a degree where we can open up our schools and reopen the economy. So I don't disagree, and I kind of agree that we got to be, very firm, and we got to deliver this message, and people need to hear it. And I also I'm an advocate for flexibility with all our businesses to the degree we can, and I think that there are areas that we can be more flexible with our visitation rates and our nursing homes, the operations in our in our fitness centers, the operations on we've seen that our hairdressers salons can operate safely. We need to make sure that we're as flexible as we can. But in that area, there's some behavior that has not been good. But I can tell you right now that we know of businesses that are kind of in that category where they had a virus, where they got a COVID in one of their staff members. They got shut down for 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. So we need to follow the rules. Otherwise, these businesses are not going to be able to operate, and they're going to be where Dave talked about earlier. They're just going to be out of business, and we can't have that.
Okay, we've come to the end of the program, so we want to thank Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee for joining us via the phone. So thanks for coming on today, Lieutenant Governor.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Dave. Thanks,
right.
Bob.
And thanks to Bob Lott for joining us today. Bob, we'll talk to you next Thursday, right?
I hope so. Thank you.
Very good. And Dave, thanks for sticking around.
It was a pleasure.
All right, this is Joe Callahan. Have a great day, everyone. And we will talk to you we will talk to you this afternoon here on ON Radio. No hockey this afternoon.
Broadcasting live and local, daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street.
This is WOON, Woonsocket Radio, ON, AM, and FM. And now, the news.
The Woonsocket Board of Canvassers and Registration has announced the deadline to register to vote for the primary